It's not overwhelming. Most people don't take action in financial services, financial planning because of trust, because of accessibility issues, and because of complexity. They feel like they don't qualify for it. Time is another one. Are the habits that I have based off how much I'm saving, based off how my money is invested, right? The returns that I'm expecting. Am I going to hit that number or does something need to change? Most people navigate completely blindly. This simple habit will dramatically change how you approach retirement. We built the platform and the brand in a way to really kind of eliminate them and make it, more frictionless, more simple and easy for everybody to feel comfortable approaching this stuff.
Hello, all you brave souls. Welcome to Fortunes of the Brave. Again, hello, Mary Kathryn Johnson here, CXO of Planet Wealth, and I get to introduce you to Michael Scarpati. He is the CEO and co-founder of Retire US. Michael, how you doing today? Ready?
Hi, Mary. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's get going. So just for those people who may not know exactly who you are and what you do, tell us. Who are you and what you do?
Sure. I'm the founder and CEO, co-founder and CEO of Retire.us. And essentially what we have built is a platform to connect anybody, to make it simple and easy for you to work with independent fiduciary financial professionals so that anyone can build a clear path to financial freedom with a trusted expert. So I've been in this industry, financial services, for 15 years and found that there was a giant gap in high quality, premium, independent advice that unfortunately has been really reserved for the 1% to 2% of wealth earners. And the platform is all about opening up access, leveraging technology to create a frictionless process for people to work with the best without the asset minimums and without the big high retainer fees.
Yeah, so we are going to get along famously, I believe, because that's exactly where Planet Wealth sits as well. So tell me, what were you doing before Retire.us?
So I spent the bulk of my career as an independent fiduciary financial planner myself. So I was building an independent practice, and I was very fortunate to come into the industry as an independent because it's a very different perspective. It's a lot more of a focus on holistic planning and building systems, and then finding investment strategies, products that vet the entire marketplace essentially to fit into those systems, versus most of the professionals in the financial planning, financial advisory industry represent institutions that really focus on product. I got to see this very, very different perspective. And most of the people, believe it or not, that we worked with had a financial advisor already. And it was that perspective that really helped me start to kind of shift my mindset around, oh, wow, most people don't even know that this is a path that exists. Most people are working with professionals that really focus mainly on the products themselves and not the entire big picture and the systems that we can put in place and the ways that we can navigate tax laws to end up with more in our pocket. And it kind of gradually started this journey towards, we need to make this more accessible to everybody, because everybody deserves the opportunity to plan with somebody that knows the game that we're playing and the rules that we can use in our favor to impact the financial situation at a higher level.
If I have $50,000 to $150,000, why would I not want my money to work for me just like someone who has $2 million? Why would there be a difference? Why would I think I'm any less deserving to have my money work for me no matter how much money I have, right?
It's a powerful question. And I think the biggest issue for most people is their mindset gets in their way, because we've kind of been brought up into the world, this financial society that we're a part of, to believe that financial planning, financial advice is really only for people with millions and millions of dollars. And there's this mindset hurdle for a lot of people of, well, that's not for me. I don't qualify for that, right? They're not talking about me. I only have $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 saved up. And these are for people that work with $500,000, $1 million, $2 million. And it's just, it doesn't apply to me. I don't need it. I don't deserve it. And those are all things that are just limiting beliefs that are actually not true. They're just getting in the way. It's self-talk that I think the majority of Americans unfortunately have because of the way these types of services were originally brought to market. And a lot has changed in the technology that we've been able to build and integrate into this human experience with the fiduciaries. We've created a world where it's much more scalable for independent fiduciaries to work with anybody. And these old hurdles just really don't need to exist anymore. And so it is for everybody. It is for you. You deserve good, high quality advice. And the smallest little nuanced tweak can make a massive, massive impact on your trajectory forward if you know what to look for and what to do.
Especially now in the age of AI, where people think they can just get their answers at their fingertips. Some people, many people are also afraid of AI. It's too complicated. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. How do I know if it's hallucinating or telling me the truth and all that? I get that. But in that age, I mean, you probably can help people understand how technology and human guidance, the human aspect of it, can unlock more impact in their lives than just going it alone, right?
Absolutely. The human component is so key, in my opinion, because the AI will help put some pieces together and can bring to our awareness things that make sense on paper. But there's this human element that the AI is not going to ever really be able to capture, at least right now, that is important. Finances are also emotional. There's a lot of emotion that comes behind finances, and maybe something may make sense on paper, but emotionally, psychologically, it may not make sense for a lot of people. So that human element, how can we bridge the technology gap with human beings and really create this cohesive ecosystem and experience is, in my opinion, the major key to really getting the most out of both sides of the coin.
Take me through this whole fiduciary side, because my husband's retired now, but he retired meaning he doesn't do this for a living anymore. But he used to be an enrolled agent. So this is someone who is enrolled and certified with the IRS to represent taxpayers in front of the IRS, as opposed to a CPA who is a certified public accountant. He's specifically enrolled to represent taxpayers in front of the IRS. So he always came home with stories about the fiduciary responsibility financial planners versus the standard financial planners that were just buying and selling whatever they could and getting commissions. So from that perspective, I know you come from that fiduciary responsibility. Tell me how that helps shift that mindset for some people who are new to this whole process.
For those that are new, fiduciary is really simple to understand. Is the advice in my best interest in the eyes of the law? So do I need to be giving advice that is absolutely in the best interest of the client in the eyes of the law? That makes you a fiduciary. Now, the sad thing is you would think that's how it all works, right? That's the crazy hidden little secret that most people don't say out loud, which is about 85 to 90% of licensed financial professionals have no fiduciary standard because they don't work for you. That's the core truth. They don't work for you. They work for the investment institution most of the times that they represent. So as a result, the advice is extremely limited in scope. Right. So if I hire a financial professional, but really the way that they're compensated and the focus of their guidance and their practice is around products specifically, that's where a lot of the attention is going to go. And products are important. We need them, right? You can't get from A to B without them. However, the independent fiduciary is going to spread that attention across many more areas because you're hiring them to support you in your financial planning across more than just the investments. It's how are we managing our cash flow? How are we navigating tax situations? How is this all going to impact our legacy that we leave at the end of the day? How are we managing our risk, not just from a portfolio standpoint, but from a life standpoint, disability, healthcare, right? And how those expenses can eat away at our assets. There's so many variables that need to be considered before we even talk about investment. And that's the key difference, right? The non-fiduciaries lead with the investment advice. At the end of the day, 95% of the conversation is around the products. The independent fiduciaries are playing a very different game.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that explanation, because again, my husband would come home talking about that very topic and get quite frustrated when a client would come in with, sheets and sheets and sheets of transactions that at the end of the day didn't necessarily get the client ahead. And so thank you for that. So now that's an important important topic when we think about presentation. Right. So financial planners are going to say, yeah, I can help you and I can help your money grow. We're all going to kind of say the same thing. But how can you I think there's a story you can tell us about how presentation matters just as much as expertise. And it has something to do with a squeaky Chevy.
Oh, wow, you've done your research. So there is a story I can tell about this. And especially in this game, when the independent channel is tough. That's why there's not a lot of independent financial professionals out there, because it is a very much entrepreneurial track, and you are building your book of business, you're building your client base brick by brick, and you have no salary because you don't represent an institution. You got to get people to pay you. They hire you. You get paid either in planning fees, or there's fees associated with investments that you manage or products as well. Like there's a hybrid approach for all of it that can be taken. But at the end of the day, you got to build your client base, and your credibility is a big part of that process, especially when you're young in the business. So the little story here is the presentation is just how there's a lot of judgment that goes into this industry in terms of who is credible, who's not, where is this advice coming from? Interestingly enough, I think there's a inverse of the truth that exists in the human consciousness related to financial services, which is brand is the biggest, most important thing. And the funny thing is that it's kind of the opposite, because the big brands are sure where the money will ultimately end up a lot of times, but the professionals from those big brands aren't necessarily going to be the fiduciary professionals. And so interesting little thing there. But my story was early back in my financial planning career, right out of college. I was driving a beat up Chevy, and that beat up Chevy had hubcaps that were very squeaky. You would drive around, and at the time, young entrepreneur, build my book of business, I did not have discretionary income to change this vehicle. Would strategically park my vehicle a couple houses down. I didn't have the flashy car that it was not a credibility builder. It was a credibility killer because of this judgment that is a component of the business, right? Big, nice, wealthy financial advisor means that they're going to provide great financial advice. May or may not be the case, right? That's all relative based off of who you're working with and the perspective that they're bringing to the table. But I had a meeting with a prospective client, and it was a good meeting. I walked out of the meeting. I was like, I crushed that. That's going to be definitely a lifetime client for sure. She decided to walk out with me to get her mail as we were wrapping up the meeting. She said, "Oh, I'll walk you out to your car." I was like, "Oh, I parked a couple blocks away." So I we said our goodbyes, and I got in that car and I started driving back, and she was still out there getting her mail, and I was squeaking on by, and I just saw the look in her face, and that look said, there's no way that this guy is going to be my financial planner. Unfortunately, that taught me a very valuable lesson, though. In this industry, credibility does really matter. At the time, I didn't have any credibility. I was new to the business. That didn't mean I didn't have any expertise. That didn't mean that I didn't have great training and great mentors and a gret team behind me. But in a flash of a moment, I could have demonstrated as much value in an hour and a half meeting, and in that 30 seconds. All that credibility went out the window because of the perception of the car that I was driving and how that correlates potentially to high quality advice.
Yeah. And even with that, where you are now, because I really feel that everything we've done in the past, we take with us. And we innovate what we're currently doing. So that experience, not necessarily, I'm sure you didn't just immediately go out and buy a BMW or rent a BMW or whatever, to be able to present a certain way. It informs the way you conduct your business now. Because, okay, everyone listening to my voice, think about this. That person probably had an opportunity to work with you and be a lifetime client and be taking advantage of the opportunities you have available now. But because of a perception, she isn't. And probably who knows where she is now, but she has different opportunities. Whereas other people who may not perceive that way will go, well, like me. My dad's a blue collar, machinist, right? If you're going to judge me by that and by the cars we drove and all those things, and my first car, being a beat up, I don't even remember the make, to be honest with you. But some beat up. If you're going to judge that, you're not judging me. You're judging the outside or what you see. How does that story and that lesson inform who you are now and how you present, and more importantly, how you help your clients? What kind of understanding do you have?
It was a good lesson in perception doesn't necessarily equal reality, but it surely shapes it. Right? It surely does shape reality. And it's really, retire.us, I'm not actively a financial professional that brings on clients to retire.us. Retire.us is really about connecting people with independent financial professionals. And so we work with a number of independent financial professionals that are fiduciary, and the platform that we've built is really meant to act as the bridge, right, between the everyday person and these high-level premium financial professionals. And we really were very thoughtful in how we put together the platform and have essentially created the branding behind this company, because that was a lesson that I did carry with me. But the lesson was really around the perception of professionalism, and how much people can value professionalism, or what their perception is of professionalism, more than the actual information and the product itself. And for this individual, it's understandable. I get it, right? I totally understand that trumped everything, right? Like that superseded as a level of my own professionalism, whatever that may be, right? Because I didn't look the part. And so we just made it we really built the platform and the brand of retire.us with the everyday person in mind, in terms of what is their perception of their own financial situation, what's their perception of financial advice, and how can we try to create this in a way that's super thoughtful and is really designed for the everyday person, so that it's not overwhelming. Most people don't take action in financial services, financial planning, because of trust, because of accessibility issues, and because of complexity, right? At the end of the day, they feel like it's too complex. They feel like they don't really qualify for it. Time is another one, right? Time, and it's just going to take too much effort. I don't have the time to even think about this. We really tried to build the company understanding all those pain points that get in the way for people. And we built the platform and the brand in a way to really kind of eliminate them and make it more frictionless, more simple, and easy for everybody to feel comfortable approaching this stuff.
Yeah. And I have a feeling you have a very strong why. I mean, Planet Wealth, we are very focused on the why behind entrepreneurship, not just making money, because anybody can make money doing pretty much anything. But the why makes it much deeper. So talk to me about that and how you've incorporated that, or have you, into your systems and your process.
Our mission is to disrupt the financial services industry with what we consider to be this better path towards financial freedom. And that's one that's guided by independent fiduciaries. It's one that's simple and fast. It's not going to take weeks. We did a ton of market research. On average, it takes 3 to 5 weeks, if you're working with a financial professional, to get your plan, to get your information delivered and personalized in a couple minute society now that we live in. It's just it's a little absurd. This industry is super antiquated, and it's so slow to adopt technology. We want to cut through all that, make this simple and fast for people to get the information they need so they can make an impact. And it's one that's not stipulated by high asset minimums and high fees. It's one that anyone can access. Like, that to us is a much better path for everybody. And it comes from 15 years in the industry, seeing a lot of bad financial plans is the truth. You started to see this theme over and over. The why when I got out of the industry was definitely about making a living, right? And this seemed like a cool, interesting industry. That was the why to start. And that why really shifted the more and more perspective that I got coming from this independent side, seeing how many people thought they were in a good position because they worked with a financial professional. And time after time, seeing all these gaps that were major threats, like major threats to their overall financial security long term. And the why started to shift to, I gotta help save these people. Like that became my motivating factors. Like they don't know what they don't know. And there's a lot that, is hiding under the bed right now. And they don't even know that it's there, and they don't even know. So like that became the wind behind me when I was early in my career. And then that has obviously just continued to scale as we've learned more about the industry. We've started to learn how to integrate tech into this process, and is realistically what birthed Retire.us.
That's amazing. Tell me more about how that relates to accessibility and affordability for everyday Americans, right? All of us who are in the middle, the biggest group of people in the middle, not knowing what, just like you started this conversation, right? They're usually those of us who are not some of those people who have 2 million, 5 million or whatever, that we're a little bit scared of that whole process because of what we don't know and the pitfalls. And we've worked really hard for this particular nest egg. So how does accessibility and affordability play into this why and how you're using technology? Trust
is the major reason why people do not work with a financial professional. So what we figured is that it's in the high 80s, 84%, something along those lines, of people that were polled said trust. This is the biggest thing. And it's funny because everyone's hit the nail on the head. Like it may not be super publicized that it's tough to trust financial professionals because there's a lot of conflicts of interest everywhere, of course, but intuitively people know it's like, this doesn't feel easy, and it doesn't feel, like a peaceful process, right? It feels like there's going to be a lot of discernment that's required in vetting and finding financial professionals that I get good vibes from at the end of the day. And that is the big X factor when you insert fiduciary, is you can trust them right off the bat because they are legally aligned. They have to be working for you. And like, we can cut out a lot of the process of vetting financial professionals. Now it's like a psychographics fit is the big thing. Like, is this person the right fit for me? But we know no matter what, if they're fiduciary, we can trust them because they are held accountable by the law in order to be giving us trustworthy guidance that puts us at the center. The intention was to build a system where we can at least cut that piece of the puzzle out and give people some confidence in, okay, well, at least I know that I can work with somebody that has to put me first. And that now kind of takes away a lot of the resistance and a lot of the tension going into this process, where we can kind of just receive and learn and find out how we can put ourselves on a better path without some of that extra nervousness and worry and concern in the way. Wow. And that, you talked about transparency, or at least, trust. Trust to me also entails transparency. How does that tie into this? The independent fiduciary side. So one of the things that a lot of people don't recognize is the reason that there's a shortage of independent fiduciaries is because they move up market. Most of these independent fiduciaries, at the end of the day, they cover a ton of different things, but they either get compensated in one of two ways. Either get compensated to manage your assets. With that, they may still be doing full comprehensive holistic planning, and they're doing tax strategies and all sorts of layers. But if you don't have assets for them to manage, they're not going to work with you, because that is ultimately how they're going to get compensated, right? Some percentage of assets that they manage. The other side is independent fiduciaries who are planning only, and they don't manage money. They really focus on building systems and building process for you. But again, their time is limited. So they're only going to work with people that are willing to pay them $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. Now with that, again, they're going to be doing holistic planning typically, and they're opening up the box dramatically for what you have access to from an investment standpoint, from a strategy standpoint. That's the reason why there's also not a lot of availability for the everyday person, because these people are in the business of also making a living, and they move up market, right? So they're constantly, as they build their credibility, they're looking for people with a higher net worth and a higher, ability of discretionary income to pay higher and higher retainers. And it's just, it's tough. And so we want to be transparent with the reality of how this industry works. If you want someone to manage your products, there's going to be costs associated with that. That's just how it works. If you want someone to just do planning and not and give you the keys to manage your products on your own, there's also a cost for that, right? And so in this independent fiduciary world, it's really understanding what it is that you're truly looking for. Most people want a combination of both. That's what the platform is designed to give you access to. It's multiple fiduciaries that actually are wearing two different hats. And depending on how you want to engage, how deep you want to go with them in terms of product versus just planning is up to you.
Got it. That's a great way to put it. You're right. There's a cost either way. No matter what, everything has a cost. It's really your choice as to which one you want to pay.
The thing is when you don't go down the fiduciary path, there's also a cost to that too, right? It's a major opportunity cost. It may be free and it may be very low cost or do it yourself, but there is a massive, massive opportunity cost because there's a whole sandbox that you're not playing in. Right, you're sitting over here in a basic sandbox with shovels and little pails to build a sandcastle, and meanwhile the other sandbox has excavators and all sorts of machinery and things that can really build something totally different. People just aren't aware of it.
And not only that, I would never do surgery on myself. So why would I my expertise is making the money and having the money accessible. I would hire someone else to help me, not decide for me, but to help me understand how that money can work for me more long-term. What short-term decisions and long-term decisions can help lead to that money being put to use better. Just like surgery, I would never do surgery on myself. Why would I just go out there all by myself, not being a financial professional, and try and figure it out after I've spent how much blood, sweat, and tears creating this whatever amount of wealth I have, right?
It's a great point. It's a really good point. And you can take that analogy in so many directions to fully understand the absurdity of why people don't leverage financial professionals, right? You are going to hire somebody if your toilet's clogged a lot of times, right? Like if your plumber is going to come, like, sure, we can use the plunger. And if it doesn't work, like you're picking up the phone and calling a professional. Like most people are hiring people to rebuild their kitchen or their bathroom or build the house that they live in because they recognize, I'm not an expert at this. This is super important. I need to make sure that the house doesn't fall down. Yet when we think of our own financial foundation and our own financial house, most people are trying to build it themselves without really any major understanding of how to fully build it in the best way possible to not only make it stand tall, but to make it last. And it's just this weird disconnect. And it's something that we're actively working on to help people get out of their own way to see truly the value and make this a priority for themselves.
Let's end it with one habit that you'd recommend people start adopting or start creating in their lives to be ready for their financial future, to be ready to create the financial systems that will hopefully project a positive financial future for them.
It's a simple habit and it will make the world of a difference. This simple habit will dramatically change how you approach retirement. And it is every single year calculating the final number that you need to retire, because it's going to change based off of inflation and based off of change in your lifestyle. But you can land on a pretty good number. And we have a whole process that we can walk you through in our free mindfulness program. And we have some workshops that we can talk about in a second. But that number, if you have that number and you reevaluate every single year where you are in relation to that number, right? Recalculate the number and evaluate where you are in relation to that number. Meaning if I need $1 million saved up and I've done the math to figure out, right, what my lifestyle is going to cost, and I've been able to reverse engineer in retirement, I need $1 million saved to supplement my pension, to supplement my Social Security. If every single year I take a look at where I am in relation to that, all right, I have $350,000 saved, and my million, because of inflation, it actually just changed to 1.1 million. Okay. And now I can see every single year Am I actually on pace? Are the habits that I have based off how much I'm saving, based off how my money is invested, right? The returns that I'm expecting. Am I going to hit that number, or does something need to change? Most people navigate completely blindly. They have no clue whether or not they're on pace or off pace. And that really dictates the amount of risk they should be ultimately taking. But because they don't know that number and they're not constantly reviewing where they are in relation to that number, they have no real direction or no real accountability to their savings. And that's a major problem when that money is at the whims of the stock market.
All right. Well, Michael Scarpati, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Fortunes of the Brave. We're going to put links in the show notes. You have a workshop series that you do on a monthly basis, and this helps educate people along these lines and helps them understand this technology. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. It's called Rethinking Retirement. It's a workshop series that is really catered towards two key demographics. It's kind of like that 50 plus where you're preparing for retirement and you want to understand the systems and the process to find that magic number for yourself and continue to monitor it. We go through the process of doing that so you can kind of see it live. For the retirees, those that have already made the transition but are now really focused on protecting their wealth, right? There's a lot of craziness going on right now. AI, is it a bubble? Is it not a bubble? How are the markets going to react to tariffs? There's so much out there, and there are systems, again, that you can put in place that can start to protect your wealth and start to really have a little bit more of a conscious game plan to navigate that and keep up with inflation and taxes. And we go through systems. So there's two different workshops. We do them each month. It's called Rethinking Retirement. The best way to get access is just go to retire.us. We have a free mindfulness tier. You can sign up for free. Doesn't cost anything. You put in an email and create a password, and you have access to the platform, ton of free resources, ton of free tools, and you'll get access to those workshops as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much again for joining me. I'm so glad that we were able to align so well with the fact that, you know, everyday people should be able to have access to all the tools and all the systems that are available to them to live the best lives they can. And I'm so glad that you are on the side of financial freedom from that lens and that why. So thank you. I hope you have a fantastic day.
I appreciate the time. That was fun.
Yeah. What do you think?
I thought it was great. It's so interesting, the alignment between our two companies. It's like the same thing with a little bit of a different flavor.
That's it. It's just from a different perspective, right?
Different perspective, access, same core mission at the end of the day, which is opening up this access. It's really cool. I definitely would love to stay connected with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Can you give me your email address, and I will make sure I get us connected, and we can have another conversation more about what you do, how I can help you, and vice versa. How's that sound?
I would love that. Yeah, for my email is just michael@retire.us. Let's connect on LinkedIn too, if you're on LinkedIn, and let's definitely keep the lines of communication open, because it's very interesting. I mean, there may be even a conversation to get on your guys' platform, honestly. When we've bootstrapped the company, and we've been talking about doing a fundraise and seeing where that, we're lucky because we have profitability. So the first raise is probably going to be some sort of debt, just traditional debt, because we can. Do you guys do debt too, or is it all equity? We do?
Nope. It's debt and equity. Most people do debt, actually.
Cool. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, it's an amazing. I can share with you. Have you raised capital before? Have you tried any of the like Reg A or Reg Ds or anything like that, or Angel or anything?
Nothing.
Yeah, it's a totally different scenario. It's not. It's especially if you do debt. Right? It's just basically in lieu of a bank, instead of giving interest to a nameless, faceless bank, how about giving interest to people who might actually invite you to dinner, right? Whose lives you can actually impact by giving them an interest return. It might pay for their kids' school. It might pay part of their mortgage, whatever.
It's so aligned with what we want to do. We've talked about, so I came to Austin because I was doing a program actually at University of Texas for tech commercialization, because we don't come from tech. We come from financial services, yet here we are building tech. So I did this 1-year master's program, that opened up a lot of doors. And the other reason to be down here was there's a big venture scene down here, as you know. So started to kind of look through, met some different contacts, but the more and more I think about it, we would prefer, even when we go down the equity route, like it's always felt like we're better suited. We want to raise capital in like some sort of we're coming from a legacy financial planning practice where there's 15 years of relationships that we have, people that truly believe in what we're doing. And why would we give VC the lowest valuation when we're going to raise if we're going to do equity versus like we want the people that have supported us all this time to get into the ground floor of what we're building. And it's really interesting. Like I'm interested in both sides of the debt side of it and the equity side when that time would be right.
Yeah, let's set up a conversation because I can kind of take you through the process and what is required. And like I said, this was, at least from a non-accredited investor standpoint, this was just made available through the SEC in 2016. And we have every single step of that process compliant and legal so that, any issuer, you're basically still considered an issuer, even if it's a debt instrument, any issuer can navigate it without having to go find the securities attorney and the compliance attorney and the marketing professionals and the whole process. It's all in one place.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's right. That's definitely right up our alley. What we're looking to do in 26, honestly, coming soon. So this was great. The universe is connecting us for a reason. I believe that.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to record just Michael Scarpati, co-founder kind of idea.
You too. Happy holidays too. Happy Thanksgiving. And talk to you soon.
Did this episode help you tackle a mindset shift? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback can provide actionable solutions to others seeking access to opportunity.